Hello, innovators. I'm Todd Wyant, and welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast, presented by Applied Software Great Tech Group. You're invited to join our conversation to model the future of construction innovation and the digital transformation adventure of this great industry. My guest today is Tatanisia Lumley. She has dedicated her life to helping her fellow New Yorkers find employment, empowerment, and lifelong skills. As Director of Training and Operations for workforce development nonprofit Building Skills New York, she spearheaded the establishment of the nonprofit's Construction Career Accelerator program in 2021. The program provides free advanced training to help New York City job seekers launch construction careers. Her hands-on support has ensured that hundreds of residents facing employment barriers don't slip through the city's cracks. Outside of work, she is an avid crafter, Halloween enthusiast, and a devoted mother of three. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Todd.
Super excited about it. So first, before I really get into everything, Halloween enthusiast. I loved seeing that in your bio. What's your favorite part of Halloween?
I love Halloween. I start planning my outfit a year ahead. I love the creativity that it allows me. I love the fun spirit of it. So I don't look at it in a negative light. I look at it with it allowing me to be creative and have fun. So I love Halloween, and I love getting everyone into the spirit of it.
That's awesome. I assume then you make all your own costumes then, or what's the process for it?
I decorate the door on my apartment. I decorate the home. I make my children's outfits. Sometimes I'm guilty of buying my outfits, but I always tweak them to my own liking. So yes.
We won't tell anybody.
Don't tell anyone.
That's awesome. Very cool. I love Halloween too. I think it's a super fun time. I love kind of getting into a new character and just going crazy. Have fun with it.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, on to construction. I always like to start with how people got into this industry to begin with. So what's your origin story? What pulled you into the world of construction?
What pulled me into the world of construction? I formerly was the director of a fatherhood program at BronxWorks, in which we offered healthy relationship and parenting skills to fathers in the Bronx and in New York City regions. And we offered different skills trainings outside of the workshops. So we had people that were interested in security, and amongst a lot of people, there were people who really had a big interest in construction. So I would coordinate construction trainings for my program participants and let them get their OSHA 10. At the time, it was the OSHA 10 that was the mandatory credential to have. So that's how I got my humble beginnings in even being aware of what construction was and the certification needed. And I established a rapport with the training providers at New York Safety and Training. And that's what I would really say gave me the humble beginnings of construction. Fast forwarded, one of my colleagues that worked at BronxWorks told me about this opportunity at Building Skills, and this was an offer that I couldn't resist, and now I'm in the world of construction.
There you go. I love it. What, if any, misconceptions have you noticed around what people think about the world of construction versus the reality of being here in the space and the opportunity that exists?
One of the biggest misconceptions is that you go in, once you get your certifications, you're already certified and qualified to do the construction work. And they think like, oh, I made it through the training. This is easy work. And number one, people always have this misconception like that there's good automatic pay as soon as you start a construction job. Like you're going to start at top pay. And that's not always the case.
It would be nice.
It would be nice. And in some cases,
is always nice.
Yeah. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions. So a lot of coaching that I do is around like realistic expectations with starting salary.
Yeah. Nice. That is important.
Yes.
So tell us more kind of about the Construction Career Accelerator program that you helped kind of create and bring to life. What inspired its creation, and then how's it evolved over the last few years here?
Okay. Yeah. So I've been with Building Skills for almost 7 years, and we started out with placing New York City residents on construction sites. But when I was interviewing them, I did notice that a lot of people had the skill set, but they didn't have the certifications and they couldn't afford the certifications needed to do the construction job. I also came across a lot of people who actually had a big interest. They had strong soft skills, but they didn't have at least 6 months of experience or more. And then I had people who had off the books experience, but they never worked on the books because they didn't have the certifications. So I did see that there was a void that needed to be filled. And I started out partnering with community liaisons who had access to funding. And I established OSHA 30 trainings because that became the new certification that was mandated by the Department of Buildings. And we were able to get New York City residents who fell under all those buckets I just went over, OSHA 30. And it was pretty successful. But then we still kept on running into the same issue about training and experience needed.
You mentioned the training and experience needed there. One of the hurdles facing the construction industry is obviously the labor shortage and getting people into the industry to actually fill the jobs. How do we combat both of these issues? Because it's the two problems kind of are making each other worse. So if we don't have enough people that are willing to come in, but then the people that are willing don't have the experience, what do we do? How do we work our way out of this?
Yeah, so one easy way to kind of bridge the gap between this labor shortage is by making it, publicizing it and making it accessible to those maybe of a younger age, because we do have an aging workforce in construction, which has been really evident since about 2020. So making it accessible in schools and on billboards, social media, and letting people know that these free trainings are really accessible and in their communities, and giving them the knowledge of it. Also, like partnering and giving career advisors that work in high schools more information on these programs, so that schools are not only promoting college, but also promoting construction trades and giving them access to programs like our Construction Career Accelerator training program.
So now I'm going to try not to get on my soapbox here, but you hit a nerve there for sure of trying to get the word out. I think it's a huge issue that we face not only as a construction industry, but really as a culture. If we don't have people coming into construction, I mean, culture kind of crumbles. You need a vibrant construction industry to build anything. So how do we go about changing some of the perception of construction to those outside of the industry?
Changing the perception to those outside the industry is also making people who are non-traditional construction workers feeling comfortable that they too can do this work. So like targeting audiences like women, right? To encourage more women, because construction still is a male dominant industry. So making women feel comfortable doing the work and knowing their different pathways that they can take, targeting younger audiences like people coming out, like high school seniors, and, partnering with other workforce development organizations as well as government organizations who could fund nonprofit organizations, so that we could enhance the offerings and accessibility within underserved communities. That's, to me, is the easiest way to kind of bridge the gap. And that's a starting point, right? And then the bigger picture, kind of talking to the people on the construction sites, trying to help them know that there is new talent and giving them the opportunity to express and apply that new knowledge that they've obtained on their construction site.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you nailed it there, of being able to go in front of audiences that may not have thought construction was viable for them, and showing not only is it, and that there's opportunity in the space and in the industry, that it's welcoming to them. So then there's a culture change that probably still needs to happen in some corners of construction, to open people's minds that yes, it doesn't have to just be a male dominated industry. All are welcome here in construction and can do an awesome, amazing job. And we have to for sure kind of see that message out there more.
Yes.
So with the Construction Career Accelerator program, how kind of big picture, then we'll get more into the specifics here, but big picture, how are you guys helping to either address some of the root causes of the labor shortage, or helping kind of come around and equipped all the different communities to come into construction?
Big picture, we partner with different community-based organizations that are workforce development organizations. We partner with each borough, like people who have access to the community, and those in the community, also people who have access to workforce funding, right? So we partner strategically. We partner with organizations to let them be a part of the solution in terms of changing the narrative about this disparity in construction. And we kind of oversee and like do the blueprint of how it should run, including job development and career coaching, but we kind of include them in this narrative when we offer the trainings.
Nice. So the work centers, seem to be really around kind of empowering the underserved and unemployed adults. What are some of the unique challenges that these individuals face in finding true kind of sustainable employment in construction? How are you guys kind of helping with those barriers?
So again, building skills, our main focus is employment and advanced skills training. So partnering with organizations that offer wraparound services has been key to our partnerships that we've established. A lot of barriers or challenges, if you will, faced by people pursuing or interested in construction is housing instability, food insecurity, and lack of childcare. So those are like three of the key challenges faced. And together we try to overcome even transportation and having money for transportation. So as a part of trying to eliminate those barriers, building skills in partnership with our community-based organizations, we offer meals during the training sessions. We offer transportation incentives and one-on-one case management support, so that if there's any other personal supports that they need around testing or just overall, we could point them in the right direction to the case manager that's on site.
Love that. That's awesome. So kind of shifting into the actual training aspect of it, as the construction industry evolves and changes, especially with more kind of technology coming in, what skills and trainings do you see as becoming really essential for people coming into the workforce, and how does your program kind of help come alongside and prepare job seekers for that?
Yes, as construction evolves, we're going to see that there's going to be a need for people who could actually lead and run a construction site. So project management, being able to oversee and kind of work at a supervisory level. Even the use of technology and software involved in construction is going to be really important, and having industry knowledge of regulations is going to be important. So the Construction Career Accelerator training program, we're already like 2 steps ahead of the game. We use a national credential that's recognized nationally under the National Center for Construction Education Research Department. NCCER is what we call it for short. We offer advanced skills training in specific industry trades like carpentry, electrical, and plumbing, as well as green training. And we also offer professional development as a part of our training to ensure that not only are people obtaining these necessary credentials to jumpstart their career, but we're teaching them about sustainability and also retention, job retention, and how to operate in a non-traditional work setting, right? Like you still have to arrive on time, and you have to be safe, and you have to, exercise soft skills and hard skills. So we have created like this all-inclusive training model to ensure that people are what we call job ready when the training is over.
So I'm a huge believer in soft skills, and especially in construction. It's a people business. You have to have soft skills, even though it can seem like it kind of gets pushed to the side sometimes. Of like, you also have to obviously be able to build the building, but
right.
If you can't interact with people, you don't have the emotional intelligence. it's going to make working with people hard. That seems obvious, but so I love the fact that you're tying the soft skills in with the hard skill
Yes.
knowledge there as well too. That's awesome. So when it comes to kind of the future trends, I love the sustainability message that you're bringing in there as well too. This is more on the technology side of things, but does AI come up in the training at all? What's kind of the read on AI in construction?
So that is one of the we're still trying to navigate how we're going to incorporate AI into our upcoming trainings. But
Mhm.
one of the upcoming trends has been virtual reality per se.
Mm.
So we've navigated exploring the use of VR headsets to help like non-traditional learners explore the training and understand it a little bit more. We have a new workforce that's up and coming. So sometimes because they're used to computers and technology and software as well as video games, using VR headsets is like the next step as a part of one of the new trends. AI is still tricky and we're still navigating on how we're going to engage our trainees with AI. But again, the newest trend is the VR headsets and as a mode of instruction and learning.
Yeah, love that. So do you see people really coming in, embracing the technology, or being more cautious and reserved with tech?
So what I've noticed is that older, and when I say older, 35 years and older trainees are a little bit more
Oh no,
cautious, a
I'm
little
I'm
bit.
in the old bucket. That's okay. It's okay.
You are not alone. You are not alone. But I will say,
When did that happen,
I know, right? But what I will say is that the 35 and older, they err on the side of caution, even when it comes to the use of doing the testing on tablets or computers, right?
Hmm.
And in the 35 and under, well, under 35 trainees, they seem to embrace it and they're open to anything new and innovative in construction. And again, construction is foreign to a lot of people because they're like, you know, re-entering or maybe like just entering. So they're easier to kind of roll with the new innovations of construction.
Yeah, yeah. I think that makes total sense and plays out across the board there for sure too. I think the construction or the technology that's coming into construction, to me, it's such a cool draw for the younger generations. You brought up VR, and obviously, gaming is huge, especially younger you are. So that's such a great easy tie-in of like, yeah, there's some cool stuff that's here, and it's kind of an easy entry point in, and super relatable for people. So I think it kind of shifts their, when they see that technology, it shifts their perspective of what construction is actually about and what's happening in the space.
Yes.
What kind of trends are you seeing in the current workforce, particularly regarding obviously in construction, but you mentioned about bringing in people from more diverse backgrounds. What's the shifts and kind of people that are attracted to construction?
Yes. So I'm noticing that there is an increase in females that are showing interest and expressing interest in actually pursuing construction. So that's one of the newest trends. And workforce organizations are starting to realize that and promote construction just a little bit more in terms of offering construction related certifications at their respective organizations. And another trend that I've noticed is that people who are not that experienced but have certain certifications, the more certifications that they have, even if they don't have that much experience, they are now given more of an opportunity to apply themselves on a construction site, as opposed to as little as 5 years ago, they weren't given those same opportunities regardless of how many certifications they held.
Interesting. So when somebody's coming into the construction industry, how important is networking and mentoring and kind of building up those relationships.
Yes, networking is really important. We tell them to start a peer group within the training groups right away. And we also encourage them to exchange numbers because they can be working for or with these same very classmates that they have. And then we also have guest speakers come in, and we tell them to take advantage of their network. So because that is an important way to sometimes get a foot in the door with construction. So networking is really important, and that is key outside of holding the credentials, right? Having access to people who may be able to steer you in the right direction on a pathway to construction.
That's awesome. Over the last several years of having the accelerator up and running, you've been able to help a ton of New Yorkers launch construction careers. How do you measure success, and are there any kind of success stories that stand out to you?
Sure. If we can successfully assist someone who may have had personal challenges and they can successfully make it through a 3-month training under our construction career accelerator training, and then we're able to place them on a job, that's how we pretty much measure success. We have so many success stories, but I'd like to share one about a Bronx native who's 19, who's recently completed one of our electrical trainings in partnership with one of our partners out in Queens. Each day he traveled from the Bronx to Queens to do this training. He successfully completed it. He was afforded an opportunity as an assistant superintendent for the summer and easily transitioned into a new opportunity in which he's an advanced skills general laborer on one of our construction sites in Midtown. He's really proactive in his job hunt with us, and he has also been accepted into an HVAC training with one of our community colleges in LaGuardia. So this young talent is someone who can pave the way for his peers, who's a success story in the eyes of Building Skills New York.
Just curious, how many people have been able to go through the program?
So we can proudly say that there's been about 300 training graduates from our construction career accelerator training program since its inception in 2021. We currently have some cohorts underway right now, so that number will increase by December. So we're excited about that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So as we start to kind of land the plane here of the conversation, couple kind of rapid fire ish questions throw your way. First, what is the phrase modeling the future? What does that mean, and kind of look like to you? What is the phrase modeling the future? What does that mean and look like to you?
Modeling the future means being a trendsetter and making a difference and paving the way and being that blueprint in construction for years to come. Our construction career accelerated training program is part of that model right now, and that's going to look like inclusivity of women, veterans, people re-entering the workforce, and gearing them up and equipping them with the certifications, the knowledge, and the access to industry certifications, knowledge, and futuristic trainings that are going to enhance their opportunities and network in the industry for years to come.
What does innovation mean to you?
Innovation means being creative and coming up with new concepts and ideas on learning, training, and modes of actually doing construction, be it technology itself in doing construction and ways to not phase out the human need for construction, but having them engage and be equipped with learning and understanding the needs of construction and making themselves marketable so that if technology and AI play a role, it's not going to take over their role in construction. It's just going to help increase their role and keep them on their career pathway in construction.
Well, about that, how do people find out more information and connect with you? Come support the program and get involved.
People could connect with Building Skills New York by visiting our website. They can follow us on any of our social media portals. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. and word of mouth. If you know anyone who's interested and you're looking at this podcast, please have people contact us at www.buildingskillsny.org. Each one teach one, pass the word along. So even if you yourself are not directly interested in construction, please pass it on to an uncle, cousin, sister, neighbor, and spread the word.
So final question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in the industry, what would you pick to innovate?
If I had all the construction power in the world, I would love to have a modular system on large residential buildings that could be built within a week's time so that we could eliminate homelessness in New York City.
That's a great use of the power. I love that. Well done. That's a great way to end it. Thanks so much for taking the time and joining the show.
Thank you very much, Todd. Have a great one.